So I grew up in Maryland, and one thing about America was Halloween season. It's great. We don't have Halloween season in Brazil. And in my last Halloween season, around 20 years ago in America, we actually had to fear a real-life monster. I never forget the day where we were in class, and then suddenly the teacher had an announcement. He said, kids, we should just let you know that there's a killer on the loose. He's going around shooting people at random, and the cops haven't caught him. And I remember we were scared shitless at the time. We were like, oh my god. But then he's like, no, don't worry about it, kids. The incidents have only happened in this random neighborhood. And I actually remember some kids in class going all, but I live in that neighborhood. And I remember thinking, well, it sucks to be them. Man, I think I was around 8 years old at the time. And I remember, man, those couple of weeks. Oh, wow. I mean, it really felt like there was a monster on the loose, you know. You never knew which one was going to be next. The radio kept announcing random shots that happened. Some poor lady, you know, pumping gas in her car. But I remember we had this feeling, you go like, well, okay. I mean, there's this guy on the loose, and it's pretty scary, but he's not gonna kill a kid, right? I mean, killing adults, that's one thing. Everybody kills adults, but I mean, he's not a monster. He wouldn't kill a kid, right? We're too cute and innocent, right? No one would want to kill such beautiful children. Suddenly all the fat kids probably feeling like their squishy cheeks were suddenly giving them a survival advantage. And then a 13-year-old got shot. And I remember when that happened, like, it really felt like anyone could be next. And the schools started getting more defensive as well. I remember like having to wait for my mother to pick me up from school, and there were guards there and stuff like that walking around. And throughout that whole moment, despite all the tragedy, this is going to sound bad, but I mean, the thing that I was most afraid of was that my last American Halloween trick-or-treating was going to be canceled because I was going to go back to Brazil in a few months after Halloween. I mean, it sounds bad, but I mean, free candy, right? And I remember we were just desperate for the cops to get this guy. And as time went on, the myths and the legends just kept growing to insane degrees. We kept hearing stuff like, oh my god, this guy, like a squad of guys just broke into a gun shop and stole all the guns, and there's a white van, and of course the white van. Like in America, there's this myth about the white van. Like when I was 6 years old, there was a kidnapper, and he was over the white van. And of course, the sniper guy, when I was 8, a few years later, also had the white van, which of course led me to like, when I was going on a walk with my father, suddenly I saw this white van coming around the corner. I'm like, oh my god, it's a white van, run! And I started running like a lunatic, and with my arms flailing around, going, ah! And my father was like, hey, what are you doing? Get back, freaking lunatic. But the most terrifying of these stories, and I'm pretty sure this was completely made up, but it's amazing how even adults are believing this stuff, and we would discuss this and as if it actually happened. But looking back, but there is a story that a cop was able to almost catch the guy, and he chased this monster into the woods, but then the guy was able to get away, but not before he wrote a note into a tree, and the note said, I am God. And this just freaked us the heck out, man. Because we were like, this guy's a lunatic, he's a crazy person, he's a crafty and cultist type thing. This guy's gonna end up, I don't know, doing rituals in stone circles and shit. If this had gone out a little longer, who knows what kind of crazy stories they would have made up about this guy. And it's funny how, in these moments of high tension, the universe just goes wrong in every single way, right? Just to really rub it into the fact that, like, you're afraid for your life. I remember during that time, my mother was driving me and a friend of mine. She was driving my friend back to his house after a play session in our house. And right, in the middle of that terrible season with this killer on the loose, the car broke down in the middle of a busy highway. And smoke was coming out of the engine. And so my mother's like, okay, kids, get out of the car. And I'm like, oh my god, we're gonna die. We're gonna get shot in the middle of the street. As my mother is trying to fix it. And I remember just standing there with my friend, and a bunch of cars just driving past by. The sniper was, of course, he would kill people by shooting them from inside his car, right? It was him and his stepson. I don't even remember how that was going on. And I felt like I was like open season in a shooting gallery, like one of those ducks in a hunting season, or like the Bugs Bunny kind of thing, something like that. I felt like that, like Looney Tunes level stuff. In the middle of the road, God provided us a gentleman who stopped by, and he helped my mother, and then the car got back up. I think the problem was there was lack of water in the engine, so it overheated. So the guy had a bottle of water that he hadn't finished drinking yet, and I laugh now and stuff like that. But it was really tragic at the time. It really was. It was one of the moments where my innocence was lost, and I mean, 9/11 did that first, right? When I was even younger, so it didn't feel that different from what I had already learned about the world, right? There were monsters out there prowling around the globe looking for victims. But I was afraid that I wasn't going to be able to say goodbye to my friends in America by having one last trick-or-treating session with them. Priorities, right? I mean, kids are stupid. But suddenly came the announcement on the radio. Ladies and gentlemen, we got him, over. And I was just, I mean, I wasn't like that, but but I remember being ecstatic, like, we got the son of a bitch! We're gonna go trick-or-treating! And you might ask me, hey, Pilgrim, alright, so after all that, was the trick-or-treating, was it everything you expected? And to be honest, I don't remember. Because all the events that preceded it just burned itself more into my mind. I guess I don't remember anything else. And of course, I don't think the guy was found in a white van. I think people were just making that up. I don't remember. But, yeah, that was the scariest Halloween I ever experienced. It's amazing how actually worrying about a serial killer can make the whole experience a little too immersive. But I tell this story not to make light of the lives that were lost, or the horrible event that happened at the time. I think I speak about this more to make sense of it. Thinking about it now, I don't really tell this story often. I've said it a few times. As I get older, I do think about it more and more. And I do remember how I used to encounter death and tragedy and the evil in mankind as a kid, and how I encounter it now, and how different everything was. I remember a neighborhood watchman passing around notes and stuff like that, and these papers, these brochures with hints and tips on avoiding being shot. And I remember reading them as a kid when I found them. My mother didn't want me to find them, but I found them. And then they were saying, like, walk between cars and use the cars around you as a shield so that, don't get too exposed out on the road and stuff like that. And I remember, like, even mundane things like we would order pizza, and I was afraid that the pizza guy was going to go ballistic and start shooting us. It's like, you order pepperoni, extra spice. I think humor or laughing back at this stuff helps you deal with it a little bit more. But yeah, that was my scariest Halloween. Thank you guys all for listening to my ramblings. Have a good day, my friends.